Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at these crazy 2-cost search event cards that are coming out in EB02. We'll take a look at some of the more obvious leaders that will probably help them, but we're also going to take a look at some of the other kind of like low-key leaders that might have a lot of potential for them, and some decks that have been kind of lacking in certain areas where like the consistency just isn't there with searching out certain cards or top end. And we'll see like kind of what has a lot of potential going into EB02, and just take a look at that, just talk about the cards a little bit. Gonna be a nice little quick one here. So without any further ado, let's just jump in and let's get started. Alright, so if you're not aware, these cards are all based off of One Piece openings that have been, the openings for seasons throughout the series. And we have one for each color, which is really cool. All of the cards have the same effect, and I'll have it up here on the screen too, but it's basically just activate main, search the top 4 cards of your deck, and you may put one cost 4 or higher card in your hand, and then put the rest in the bottom of your deck in any order. And the trigger is just activate this card's main effect. So really strong, kind of crazy. These cards have a lot of potential, and just run through them real quick. We got, red is highest point. I'm not sure 100% about some of the English translations here. I don't know what they're gonna go with, or if there is I tried to look up what the actual English names for all the songs already were. I mean, obviously we are for green, blue is hope, highest point for red, and then brand new world obviously for purple. We got the English there, so that's great. And then black is map of the heart, and then yellow. This one's a little difficult because it's just us in Japanese, but I also looked up the lyrics of the songs, and it even says us in English, I believe, even in the Japanese lyrics. So I think this is probably going to become us. Us has kind of like I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can interpret this, and there's like a lot of different like meanings this could kind of have as a kind of interjection kind of thing in Japanese. I'm not going to go into the specifics there, but just know that we're gonna have a lot of fun just saying I'll play 2 for us. But yeah, so all these cards are really cool. And before we dive into like the leaders and everything, I just want to take a moment to appreciate how sick it is that they went with this kind of like so basically these are all just Genga from the anime, which is keyframes essentially. This is like a layout shot from Howl's Moving Castle, but it's similar, right? Similar enough. And I wanted to kind of just like give a cool little shout out, because as someone that loves art and animation, I think these cards are super sick. And I think the like alt arts potential that they could do with like some of these things, kind of like the new Divine Departure alt art we got in OP10. Really looking forward to something like that. And then here's like a keyframe shot you can see of like Shanks, and you can see like this is the approach they took, where you have the pencil lines, and then what they do with the colored pencils is kind of to dictate where the like highlights, shadows, and coloring is going to go. That's what this is for. I'm not going to go into detail for that, but just thought it was a really cool touch. Alright, so let's just jump into like what I'm calling the main suspects. Obviously, there's a few leaders that jump out at everyone, and I think the one that's probably going to be the most applicable to this is Anel. He's a leader that has basically had unsearchable top end for the entirety of his play, which has been a good thing, I think, to be honest. And with the release of this new 10-cost Anel that's coming out in EB02 as well, this one is searchable because it's Sky Island, so you could run stuff like Shura or Upper Yard. But now all of your cards like 9-cost Yamato, 10-cost Ace, 8-cost Katakuri, and Raigo are all going to be searchable. Raigo was already searchable off of Dedashi from OP9, but just having it all in one search card that can grab literally any of them is gonna be kind of nutty. You can kind of just use your imagination to imagine like what the possibilities are going to be for this. And then we got stuff like this where we got essentially decks that can use Moria. So Lucci and BY Luffy, you're going to be able to search out cards like Moria in BY and Lucci, and then obviously Jack and stuff like Lucci, or even Smoker if you want to. I do think there are going to be some potential problems that people will run into with finding space to run these cards in your deck. Stuff like Lucci and BY, I'm not so sure. Like BY, you can probably drop the 1-cost searcher event, but Lucci, I mean, there's only like maybe 2 slots that can comfortably fit, like that you can change stuff for. So I'm going to be really interested to see how people choose to put these into their decks. But regardless, like, it's going to be really strong to find a Moria or a Jack or whatever top end. 9-cost Kaido as well. Another one is Boa. This is kind of groundbreaking for her because she hasn't really had a good way to search out Red Rock or Gravity Blade before. So it will be interesting to see if you run the 2-cost event to find stuff like your events or your 10-cost Kaido, or even now because a lot of people run the 7-cost Kudos. It's going to be really interesting. She can definitely use the card well, in my opinion, so very strong contender there. And then this is for Shanks, but also kind of just like red decks in general. Shanks, I think a lot of people have seen his potential is really strong, and he's a very strong leader, but like if you don't draw 8-cost Rayleigh against Dofi, you're kind of in a pinch, or if you don't draw 10-cost Shanks or Roger against, or Dragon against Teach, it can be pretty rough for you. So having a leader that's similar to Enel, where like you have the ability with Shanks' leader effect, you're stopping a lot of attacks, or buffing a lot of attacks, or like nerfing them coming in at you. And I think he is a leader that kind of has a little bit of time early game to have the dawn and time to play something like the 2-cost search event to find his bigger pieces. So some of these decks I think will have to kind of reconstruct how they're built in order to use them properly. Another one like that is Bonnie. Being able to find your 7-cost Hody, your 9-cost Shanks, even just like grabbing a 10-cost Dofi, even if you already run Baby 5 Searcher, is going to be really strong, or obviously 8-cost Kid too. Bonnie, I have tested this card in Bonnie, just some like preliminary, just like testing with friends, and I actually found the card to be pretty clunky and not worth it most of the time, just in Bonnie. I don't know about any of these other decks because I haven't done any testing, but Bonnie to me felt like if you're gonna run the search event, it's really hard to just throw it in at 2 or 3 and be like, okay, cool, now this is gonna work, because you have to readjust all your other ratios. And Bonnie's already a deck that struggles where like if you start to just run too many counterlists, it becomes less consistent over 4, 5, 6, 7, however many games you want to play. And I think in order for this card to be really strong in a deck like Bonnie, you're going to have to kind of rework how you kind of build the entire deck. So that's just something to keep in mind. But I mean, it was cool. Being able to search out Hody is like one of the coolest feelings in the world, I'm not gonna lie. So maybe there's a way, and maybe I just needed more testing, but from my initial testing, I didn't find it to be that strong, but that's just some early initial testing, and I will definitely, once the cards actually come out, we'll be doing a lot more testing for that. All right, so those are the obvious leaders that people have been talking about recently, but what about the other leaders, right? I have a list here of some leaders that I think could really use these search events well. And to start off, we have my boy Vegapunk. So a lot of people have switched back to the aggro build in just OP9, OP10, and because you can still kind of handle Dofi, and it helps you just kind of not have to rely on the control variant, because the control variant is very, very strong. But you are sort of reliant on seeing certain top end like Yamato or Katakuri, and it can just be kind of rough, and games will go to time. It's a deck that takes a lot of brain power and can be kind of like frustrating to play over a long like span of games. But with the Us card being able to search out your Yamatos and Katakuris, I think it's really strong. We've been running Dedashi in Vegapunk since OP09, and that's great for finding all of your like Egghead cards and Raigo if you need it. But just being able to search out a Yamato now could be kind of a tipping point of the control variant kind of coming back into favor, or at least just being another another option in case you really liked the control variant. So I think it'll be really strong in him. It could be just like not enough or too clunky for him as well. But you can also, I will be testing out 10-cost Enel in Vegapunk just to see, because the possibilities with that are kind of crazy. You can heal like twice a turn with leader effect and Enel swinging if your life is just at the right amount, right? So lots of potential there. We'll have to see. Another leader is Blue Yellow Queen. I know there's a lot of people who are Blue Yellow Queen stans who have been trying to make this leader work, and I think he's a strong leader. He just like kind of always shows up short, and part of the problem I think is just consistency of finding your top end and setting it up. So now that stuff like 9-cost Sanji is searchable with this event, it's going to be incredibly strong. Obviously, like your 9-cost Yamato, being able to search them out I think will be extremely strong for Queen. And he's a leader that really can take it slow and play the long game. So similar to Shanks and Enel, I think he's actually going to be one of the leaders that can actually use the event the most. Another deck similar to what Shanks is going to be able to use it for, I think Red Purple Luffy, one of its problems is consistently finding the top end that you need. And if you're not running like 9-cost Luffy with the Straw Hat search, essentially like most of your top end is not really searchable. So with this event, you could find your new gates, you can find your 10-cost Shanks if you're running them, you can find Roger if you're running it, you can find 7-cost Purple Kid, 5-cost Kid. Just the potential here is really strong, because outside of like, I don't know, your searchers, some of your low-cost blockers, and maybe something like Zorojuro, like you have just a ton of like 4+ cost characters and cards that you're trying to find. Obviously this can't find Gum Giant or anything, but let's just thank baby Jesus that you can't find Gum Giant off of this card. But he's another one that I think is a little bit of a sleeper pick that might be able to use the card extremely well. And the last one here for the kind of like underdog, low-key, strong potential leaders I have is Blue, Red, Vivi. And this one, the potentials are kind of crazy. Like Vivi can use so many cards and does really well with you know, the even cards up to 8, because you can play them and give them rush. So stuff like Rayleigh on curve or on 10 Dawn, while also using leader effect to like draw a card and then give it rush, really strong. And then 6-cost Hancock is another card that's really strong in Vivi. It gives you more value than in other decks because you can give it rush, and it's just a good way to kind of stall out your opponent. Other cards like the 7-cost Borsalino are really strong, and most of, if not all of these top end are going to be unsearchable in a normal Vivi deck, so being able to search them could potentially give Vivi some consistency where, like, I don't know, in the right meta, in the right meta with the right leaders, she could be extremely strong. So really cool, because I actually really like Vivi as a leader, so I would love to see her kind of get a boost that she needs. Alright, and lastly, these are just some additional picks that I thought like have potential, and I just wanted to put in here just for the sake of it. Stuff like Yellow Yamato, where we've never had any Yellow Wano search before, but now that won't matter because you can run stuff like 9-cost Yamato or 10-cost Ace and search it out. I just threw Katakuri a bone and just figured, like, I don't know, maybe this will help them, because if you're running stuff like 8-cost Yellow Kid and 6-cost Robin, along with all of your, you know, big mom top end, this can search any of them, so I thought that would be pretty strong. And then another low-key pick I thought was Black Yellow Linlin, just because you could run some of your other, I don't know, like Black Navy cards that you can search out now, or just have the additional search. I'm not too sure about this one, but it just seems like it could be strong. And then Purple Yellow Crocodile, while you do have like the Baroque Works search going on, I do think you also run other stuff. Like a lot of people run 9-cost Yamato, and just having an extra card to search out your 8-cost Crocs are just really strong in general. And lastly, I have 3 leaders that are kind of on the fringe of being able to use these cards, but I do think are worth mentioning. One being Yellow Green Yamato, my favorite leader, so I thought I had to throw Yamato a bone. Just being able to search out stuff like Hody, and if you're running a Fortress build, just finding your 8-cost Kid, whether it's green or yellow. And this could open the door to a slightly more kind of like mid-tempo, slightly slower Yamato build that's more consistent. I'll definitely be trying out a like Samurai build with this, and maybe throwing 10-cost Doflamingo back in there and just seeing if it works better, or 9-cost Zoro, and being able to search him out would be really strong. And then we got Red Purple Uta, who I think, you know, is very strong, but is kind of like shackled by her kind of film archetype restrictions. So not that this helps, like this doesn't help with the leader effect and having to trash a film card, but being able to search out some of your other top end that you want to run, like the non-film 10-cost Shanks, would be really strong. And then the last leader that I kind of just thought of right before I was going to make this video is Green Black Perona. And Perona is notorious for, you know, just running like a lot of, at least in the past couple sets, a lot of top end that she can't really search out. So this could be really strong if you want to run something like 8-cost Sabo or Jack or 8-cost Moria. Those are all searchable. So I think Perona is low-key one of those leaders who might be able to use this this effect or this card really well. And I thought it would be worth mentioning her and putting her in there. Alright, but that's it. That's all the leaders and the kind of ideas that I have. Obviously, there's more cards and there's more leaders. I'm sure I missed some though. So please let me know. Like, what are you most excited? Even if it's one of the more obvious ones, let me know, because I want to see what people are like cooking and like what they think is actually going to be strong, because these cards could be completely meta warping. They could change the game forever, or they could be like another counterless card that is like not worth it for a lot of leaders, but some leaders like Enel can get away with it just because the way the leaders or the decks are built. And I'm not sure which way it's gonna go just yet. I don't think it's gonna be too crazy, but I could be wrong. I could be really wrong. That's it. So thanks for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys all have a great new year. Thanks for watching the YouTube channel. If you're interested, consider liking and subscribing, and check me out on Twitch because I do stream over there 2 to 3 times a week. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the support last year, and we're going to be making a lot more videos this year, and I am already planning a ton of OP10 stuff. So as soon as the sim is updated, I will be releasing a lot more videos for that. I got Yellow Green Law is coming, Yellow Kid is coming, OP10 Yamato is coming, OP10 Bonnie is coming, Red Green Smoker. I have so many ideas and so many things I want to show you guys from the stuff that I've been testing, as I've already been playing OP10 over here in Japan. But that's it. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.